Flamingo Books. Shining English Reader. Series 7. Chapter 20. The Unforgettable Show. Charu. Hold on. It's tilting again. Ashish muttered frantically from the side of his mouth. It was the first act of our Durga Puja play and disaster had struck early. I was crouched behind the plywood back set desperately trying to pull it backwards to stop tilting and crashing onto the stage. On stage the acting was pretty dismal. Ashish and Minnie would say one line of dialogue and glance back nervously at the dangerously swaying backset. Rahul, our director, squeezing in beside me, whispered wildly, "Kick it. Kick it." We gave the set a few hard kicks making it slide forward and lean crazily against the black wall. I crawled back to my prompter's post and picked up the script. Before I began prompting again I said a small prayer. But God was on leave that evening. It dawned on me slowly that the words I was reading out and those being spoken on stage didn't match. Peering past the corner where I sat, I could see Minnie mumbling and blinking nervously. All the shocks had made her and Ashish forget their lines and they were making them up. I got as close as I could to them, right on the edge of the wings, and began prompting in the loudest whisper possible. A sarcastic man in the audience said, "Prompter. Quiet." I waved at Rahul, "Pull the curtain down." Rahul pulled at the curtain rope, the curtain came down halfway and then got stuck. Minnie and Ashish were still ad-libbing away and all that the audience could see were their skinny legs. Another voice from the dark said, "Wow. What's this? An ad for shoes." Then with a beautiful whoosh, the curtain slid down the final inches and the first act was over. This was going to be quite a play. Ashish rushed into the wings and nearly strangled Rahul. "Can't you even put up a set properly, you idiot?" It nearly killed us. Minnie sat holding her head. "Charu, what did I say on stage? You should know you made it all up." "Oh God," Minnie prayed. "God's on leave today. Looks like it." Pinky, all made up as a Mughal princess, swished in, looked at all our red faces and said, "Hey. What's the matter? Any problems?" All of us yelled together, "Shut up." Rahul as the director tried to calm us down, "Now it'll be fine. We'll get it right. Okay." Curtain. The curtain went up. Pinky and Ashish went out on stage. I settled down to prompt. Things were going fine. Pinky was acting really well. The audience was quiet. Minnie stood next to me in the wings waiting for her cue. I heard her take a deep breath and enter the stage. A ripple of laughter shook the audience. I looked up. Minnie stood saying her lines with a lot of expression, dramatically waving her arms. But she was still wearing her glasses and holding the script. She was playing Shivaji's mother. "Minnie," I hissed. She turned and frowned at me. I pointed to her nose. She looked puzzled, touched her nose, blinked down at the script in her hand and seemed to wake up to reality. Right in the middle of Pinky's dialogue she gave the audience a dazzling smile, ducked back into the wings, dropped the glasses and script on my lap and went back to the stage. Rahul was moaning in the corner. On stage Minnie gave a glassy smile and said, "Shivaji, my son." Ashish as Shivaji glared at her. "Rahul," I whispered, "you have to enter now." Rahul adjusted his wig and entered as the Mughal army commander Shaista Khan. Things went on so smoothly then that I was more than a bit surprised. When the scene ended the applause seemed more in relief than praise. The next scene was before the Mughal army camp. The stage was going to be crowded because everyone who hadn't got a role had been made a soldier. Shaista Khan, pacing around on stage, yelled, "Soldiers!" Clumping and thumping, 4 soldiers played by Keaton, Kaushik, Sudha and Manav entered. Holding spears and shields, left, right in perfect unison they marched across the stage. Right behind, left, right, tail up, trailing his leash marched Manav's puppy Sudhi. The roar of laughter nearly broke my heart. "Sudhi," I called. Minnie crunched in the opposite wings, whistled, "Hey Sudhi. Come here." Sudhi stood center stage, tongue hanging, a stupid grin on his face. He looked at us, glanced at Manav, who stood guarding Shaista Khan's tent, and seemed to have his eyes closed in prayer. Manav's father suddenly yelled from the audience. "Take away that dog." The laughter got louder. Manav dragged Sooty into the wings, left the leash in my hands and marched back on stage. They were acting and shouting away on stage, but think of my situation. Have you ever tried to prompt while holding an excited stage-struck puppy with one hand and clutching the script in the other? Prayer was the only solution. "Oh, God, please, do something," I whispered. God wasn't on leave. He'd resigned from the job. On stage, Shaista Khan had heard that his son had been killed in battle. Rahul slowly sank down on a chair and said in a shaking voice, "My son is dead?" To show grief, he hit his white wig with his palm and a cloud of powder rose lazily above him. "My son," Rahul quavered as I watched the white powder slowly settle on his nose. "My achoo," Rahul sneezed. "Tisk, tisk," a sympathetic voice came from the dark, "Go and blow your nose, Father Shaista." After this, the audience decided to take part in the play. The dialogues went like this: Shaista Khan, leading his soldiers, points to the north and says, "There lies the enemy." Audience: "Don't be silly. That's the pawn shop." Shaista Khan, hand on hips, glaring at audience, "Shut up." Audience: "Want to fight?" I'd stopped prompting. Sooty was chewing the script. Minnie said, "I want to go home. I don't remember much of the rest of the play." Finally, it was the last scene. The fight to death between Ashish Shivaji and Rahul Shaista Khan inside the Mughal camp. Shaista pulled out his sword and yelled, "Beware enemy." Ashish shouted back, "This is a fight to the finish," and reached for his sword. He pulled once, he pulled again and again, but it was jammed in the scabbard. Shaista waved his sword in the air and yelled again, "Fight, if you are a true warrior." Ashish raised a sweaty face and muttered, "Wait, Yar, can't you see it's stuck?" As he tugged again, his turban slid down onto his nose. Pinky, standing in the corner, had been watching it all with a frown. Suddenly she turned to Shaista and exclaimed, "Wait, Your Highness." Then she ran to Ashish and helped him pull out the sword. Like an expert costume lady, she carefully adjusted Ashish's turban on his head, moved back a few paces, changed her role to a referee at a prize fight, waved an arm and yelled, "Come on, now. Start fighting." The audience was rolling around in the aisles. Shaista and Shivaji were still fighting when I pulled down the curtain. I couldn't bear it anymore. Ashish said, "Why'd you do that? I haven't killed him yet." "Shut up," said Minnie. Our director, Rahul, looked down at Sooty, who was now settled on my lap, and said through gritted teeth, "Where's the idiot, Manav?" Sooty grinned up at him. Beyond the curtain, the audience was roaring. "Come on stage," someone yelled. "Take a bow." We looked at each other in astonishment. Were they really applauding? We hauled up the curtain again and all of us, including Sooty, trooped onto the stage and the applause was deafening. Would you believe it, we took 6 bows that evening and someone even garlanded Rahul. Everyone agreed that it was truly an unforgettable performance.